Hello there, folks. My name is Spoonks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I talk about the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 is Raya and the Last Dragon, making $1.7 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $46 million and its worldwide total to $107 million. So thanks to this weekend's total, the movie was able to surpass Tom and Jerry at the domestic box office, becoming the second highest grossing movie of the year behind, of course, Godzilla vs. Kong. And this movie is about to surpass Wonder Woman 1984's domestic total because that movie made a total of $46.5 million and this movie's at $46.1 million. That is crazy. If you were to told me that this scenario would happen, I'd probably deny everything you would say to me, but here we are. Now the real question is if it's going to be able to get to 50 million domestically, because right now it's sitting at 4 million away from that milestone, and while I would like to see that, I have to be realistic and say it's probably going to get close, but it's either not going to make it there or it's going to make it there once it leaves the top 5 due to that the major blockbusters of the summer are approaching, and it's gonna leave a lot of competition that this movie's gonna struggle with. The first one being the next Disney film, Cruella, which is a huge new blockbuster coming out just 2 weeks on the 28th. But I hear you saying, well, Spooks, that's not really a kid's movie, as that's PG-13. Well, the next kid's movie comes out literally the week after Cruella, Spirit Untamed, on June 4th. So that's also going to be some major competition. So, like I said, it may struggle to get there before it leaves the top 5. But stranger things have happened before on this show, and I've been wrong a lot on this show. So if it does manage to get there while still being in the top 5, I will be pleasantly surprised. But for now, let's just appreciate that this movie was not only be able to beat Tom and Jerry, thank goodness, but also become the second highest grossing movie post-pandemic of the year, for now, of course. Number 4 is Demon Slayer, which made $1.8 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $42 million and its worldwide total to $477 million. So while yes, Raya and the Last Dragon is now officially the second highest grossing movie of the year, Demon Slayer is showing that it's having some pretty strong legs at the box office despite falling to number 4 this week, and this now puts it just $4 million behind Raya, which I think Disney should be a little worried about. Not to the point of being terrified, but just something to keep on their minds. But again, this movie fell from number 2 to number 4 from last week, so that's kind of a deafening sign saying how much legs this movie has for the remainder of its theatrical run, even though that I'm not sure how long this will last in theaters. But even if it starts declining drastically, this is still, quite honestly, an extremely good run at the box office. The fact that it was able to get to 42 million this quickly, where others took literal months to get there, and it was able to make more than Dragon Ball made when there was no pandemic, so that's a good sign, and we also know how well this movie did worldwide. So even if it starts declining drastically from this weekend forth, this is still a pretty solid domestic office run, if I do say so myself. Number 3 is Those Who Wish Me Dead, making $2.8 million domestically on its opening weekend and is sitting at $7.2 million worldwide. So this came in way lower than any expectations that I set out. I thought at least it would make at least 4, maybe 5 million due to the star power, and that reviews, while not astounding, it's definitely the best reviewed movie releasing theatrically last week, but yikes, this is not that impressive, to be honest. Now, we have not been given an official reported budget, and this is another Warner Brothers film that did the day-and-date HBO Max theatrical release strategy, so we really don't know how exactly this movie did. Maybe it did better on HBO Max, hopefully, but as far as I can tell, this is kind of a disappointment, especially since it's an action thriller starring Angelina Jolie, it just shows how little Warner Brothers promoted. So hopefully, maybe it wasn't that expensive, and maybe HBO Max streaming numbers can help this out, but for now, it's not looking too good for this movie. Number 2 is Wrath of Man, which made 3.7 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 14 million and a worldwide total of 48 million. So in the film's second week, it's about to make its initial production budget of $50 million back, mostly thanks to international numbers, and is just $6 million away from crossing the $20 million mark domestically, which is really impressive. I think this movie has found its audience, and its audience is spreading the news like wildfire, which is great that this original obscure R-rated action thriller is already about to cross its initial budget. Again, mostly thanks to international numbers, but still, the fact that this is doing better than Nobody and right now Mortal Kombat shows that Lionsgate did a good job with this movie. They advertise it well, and apparently the movie's really good as it got great reviews, and again, word of mouth, I think, is helping it out right now. So good on you, Wrath of Man. And finally, let's end the video with the number 1 movie of the weekend, and that is Spiral from the Book of Saw, which opened with 8.7 million domestically on its first weekend, and worldwide is sitting at $12 million. So this fell below many people's expectations. Some people thought it would open over 10 million. Some people may even said it opened over 14 million. So it kind of underperformed a little, but it was still able to have a better opening than both Wrath of Man and Raya and the Last Dragon, which are both right now killing it. And this movie has the advantage of being much cheaper than both of those movies, as this movie only costed a reported $20 million budget. So I think it will be able to manage to get that not only worldwide, but I think domestically, since that both Raya and Wrath of Man were able to do so as well. But I do think the reason it underperformed is that maybe, well, two things. Maybe reviews didn't really impress people and encourage them to go see it, because reviews for this movie have been all over the place. Some people liked it, some people didn't, and some people just thought it was eh. So maybe that didn't really entice people to go check it out. And another is that maybe people just weren't interested in another Saw movie, because like I said in the last video, back in 2017, Jigsaw came out, and while it wasn't a flop because it was a relatively cheap movie, it didn't like bring back the franchise, or like, yeah, I can't wait for the next Saw movie. So maybe franchise fatigue may be the issue. But again, it is a relatively cheap movie, so I think it'll be able to cross 20 million both domestically and worldwide, since other movies that opened around the same range this movie did were able to do so. And I know it's going to be difficult due to stiff competition, as we got 2 major horror movies on the horizon: Quiet Place Part 2 in 2 weeks, and Conjuring 3 the week after. So that's going to be some stiff competition this movie's going to have to face. But if word of mouth is strong and it has really strong legs, then I think it may have a chance. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend. And normally this would be the part where I would talk about the new movies hitting theaters this weekend, but I really don't think that the newest movie hitting theaters this weekend is going to make it into the top 5, the movie called Dream Horse, because I've seen absolutely no advertising for it. Outside of the poster and the official trailer, nothing. So I think that gives you a sense of my predictions for how it's going to do this weekend. But if it does manage to surprise me and actually makes it into the top 5, I'll be sure to cover it on the next episode of Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you guys think of the result? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below. Let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, guys, stay sharp.